So this video is titled something like the reason why I think for myself, or how come I think for myself, or something like that. I don't know if I got the title right. I'm trying to figure it out, but I can't really nail it. Anyways, I wanted to make this video because I have always had this feeling that a lot of people thought for themselves and they didn't bend to the will of like social circumstance, but that's not true. And I wanted to maybe give some type of advice or help to those who struggle with trying to find themselves, self-identity and stuff like that. It's so weird for me to make this video, I'm not gonna lie. It's so strange because it's like, for me, it's natural for me to be myself. It's natural for me to say my opinion, whether people like it or don't. But I've always been open-minded, right? So if somebody comes to me with like any type of anything and it's like the opposite of what I believe in, I want to know why. Like, why do you think that way? What is it that makes you think this way? And I don't have any issue. Like, I just want to know, right? I'm just curious. And a lot of people, it's like they're standoffish in their belief, but I tend to not test people on their belief. I tend to just want to know why, right? Whatever belief it is, it doesn't matter, right? I've always just asked questions. That's just in human nature, right? Asking questions is something that is normal, but we are also humans, and our ability of being a social creature means that we tend to like stay inside of a group, right? I've always been a personal believer of, doing your own thing, standing up for yourself, blase, blase. And I've also been the person since, I know for a fact some people cannot stand up for themselves. I tend to be the person to stand up for them. Or if someone's getting like bullied or something, even if they may quote unquote deserve it, right? I want to know, what is the reason, right? What is the reason that this many people are going after you for whatever reason? Like, it's just me. It's how I am. So, the easiest way I can say why is because I've never had any safety net when it comes to like a social circle, because I've always moved as a kid. I've always had conversations with people older than me, right, that have their own perspectives on life. So that has molded me into being able to think for myself at a very young age. Like, the first time, I want to say, growing up, right, your parents tell you to do this, do that, right? I think at around maybe like age 9, I want to believe, that's like the first time I started saying why to my mom. Like, my mom's like, don't do that. And I say, why? And of course she's like, oh, why? Like, and I was talking to my brother Miguel about this. Shout out to my boy Mike. We actually had this conversation like 3 or 4 days ago, right? And like this video, like, I guess it's just been building up, and I've just been thinking about it because I talked to my grandma last night, and she's like, oh, you've always been you, and because like, of course she misses me, and I saw she called, and I was like, oh, okay, I'll call her back, but I was working, so she was like, okay, call me back, and I was like, yeah, grandma, I'm gonna call you. And I was like thinking about it. I'm just like, I've heard this a lot. And, I never really put it in perspective because a lot of people can't do it. And to be honest, when I tell you this, because growing up, I was able to go into any group, right? During lunch, everybody goes to their one area, right? Everybody goes hang out with their friends. And I've always made friends in class, right? I'd be friends with this person, I'd be friends with that person, and right, they wouldn't be friends, but I would be friends with them. So I would go see them. Like, I would stop by, like, oh, I know where you hang out. I stop by there. Hey, what's up? These are your friends. Nice to meet y'all. Then I leave, right? And I've always done that. And I've hung out with everybody from like the goths to like the Hispanic kids to the white kids, the black kids. Like, the metal heads, the hip hop heads, back in the day, it used to be MySpace and Facebook and stuff. So I would hang out with the people that would always be on their phones too. Like, they're sitting and texting, but they were able to have a conversation while texting and stuff like that. So right? I've always been able to interact with these people. And that on top of always moving, right? So I'm like moving from different states and I'm moving different cities growing up, right? So I'm always meeting different people from different walks of life. That's just naturally how I lived, to the point to where it's like, you don't act like these people from here. You don't act like these people from here. You know, you can ask my friend Mike and he'll tell you, right? He'll tell you, because when I went to visit him in California, like that was my first time going to California as a civilian or a veteran, right? So I'm actually getting to interact with the people from California. And would always be like, yeah, this isn't like Texas. This isn't like Texas, right? And that's a real Texas thing. Like everything's bigger in Texas. Texas is the best state in America, right? That is something that is normal in the Texan culture. And then it's like in California, they do things so different. So it's like, wow, you guys do it like this over here. And the United States is just like that in general. Like there's so many people in the United States. It's kind of easy for me to like pick up like, oh, you're kind of like this or you're kind of like that, right? But even though everybody is different, there's enough similarities, like from where you grow up to the point where like I'm able to be like, okay, you're kind of like this, so you kind of remind me of my friend that's from there. And that's what I say to a lot of people. Like, shout out to my boy Saucy. I met Saucy at the smoke shop a couple of days ago, and he's from Taiwan, and he's like making these jokes, and like he's a rapper, legitimate rapper, right? And he was practicing freestyles, and he started freestyling about Pokemon, and it was legitimately a great freestyle, right? But I'm laughing my ass off. I'm like, yo, this shit's crazy. And it's like, he reminds me of my friend Jose, right? And it's like, yeah, him and Jose, they're not the same people, right? But they are similar. You see what I'm saying? I hear that a lot too. A lot of people will be like, oh yeah, man, you remind me of this person or that person. Usually it's looks, right? Usually it's looks, but like I'm able to be like, yeah, you're kind of like similar to my friend and he's kind of like this and you guys would get along great, yada, yada. But that's basically how I've been able to be myself, because it's like, I don't really fit in with Jose, right? I don't really fit in with Saucy. Like there's something that makes me gravitate to these people where I enjoy their presence and they enjoy mine. I don't know why they enjoy my presence, right? I never really asked. The only time I've ever asked was like recently, like legitimately recently. I've never asked people what they thought about me because it just never got into my mind to ask about it. But, you know, I asked some friends, like, what do they think about me? And, you know, they have positive things to say. And like, of course, they're like, oh yeah, sometimes you're a know-it-all. And it's like, oh, I didn't know that, right? I'm a know-it-all. I'm supposed to know everything. Well, I didn't know that shit, so it can't be true. But it's very interesting. Like the way I've been able to do it is by meeting people. That's honestly like the best way I can say to become who you are, to become your true self. The ability to think for yourself comes from meeting a lot of people. And that means people that you also don't agree with. Because there's been people that I've been acquainted with, right? They're not my friends, but I'm acquainted with them, or I know them, or I work with them, right? I don't like how they are, but that does not stop me from getting to know them, right? Even if I do not like now it's water under the bridge, right? There used to be a sergeant first class in the military. I did not like him. And it hurt me because I kind of looked up to him too, right? Like from one African-American male in the military to another, it's like, okay, I have admiration that you were able to survive. And, you know, he would tell me stories. Like this is one story he told me. He was like, he was going to end it all. He put on his motorcycle helmet and he had a fast motorcycle. He was going speeding down the Autobahn in Germany, right? You know what the Autobahn is? It's one of the fastest shits ever, right? You can go as fast as you want to on there. And he's zooming and he closes his eyes. He closed his eyes while driving at insane speeds. And he was willing to let it go. And eventually, you know, after nothing happened, he's waiting to die. Legitimately, he's waiting to die. He has his eyes closed. He's just waiting for it to crash. And it doesn't happen for a while. And while his eyes were closed, he told me that he saw his daughter. and he was just thinking about her. Like, what if I lost her? Like, I'm leaving, and it's like, how am I gonna, like, you feel me? It's some deep stuff. It's like, and like, yeah, I personally despise the man, but I still know his story. And I don't understand why he is how he is, but he is a human. He has his own issues, and he has things that he also loves. Just because me and you are enemies because we have a different view does not stop me from understanding what makes you you, what makes you a human, right? What drives you? Because he's not like a terrible person, right? He's not out here causing chaos for like just the mass public, right? There are people that have done that in history. He's not one of them, right? So like, even though I think he was like a dickhead and he was a terrible human being, right? To me, he was a terrible human being. To somebody else, he's one of the greatest guys, right? So it's just me and him didn't see eye to eye, right? Me being under him in the rank, that is what the big real, because like, if I don't see eye to eye with somebody, I'll let them know. Like, yeah, man, I don't like you for this. I can legitimately tell you why I don't like you. If anybody was like, why don't you like me, or what you don't like about me, I could legitimately tell you. And me telling you what I don't like about you does not mean I don't like you. It's just that part of you I don't like, but that's okay, because that's who you are. Like, I still accept that's who you are. And I think at the end of the day, that's probably why I am so me. Because even though I might rub people the wrong way, I never do it to like intentionally be like, I just don't do it in a negative way. Like, I stay true to myself regardless, because that's how I am. And other people respect it and other people despise it. But at the end of the day, that does not affect me. You see what I'm saying? So that's how it works. And I gave you a past example. I gave you a person as an example, and I gave you an example right now of how I am currently being myself. So I gave you multiple examples in this 12-minute video, it's 12 minutes so far, on how I was able to become myself, how I am myself, and how maybe you can even become yourself. Maybe. Because at the end of the day, it's going against nature to go against the group. We are social creatures. We want to be connected with something and somebody, and sometimes we don't have the ability to just up and leave our current environment. We can't just up and quit our job, or you just can't up and leave the country, right? That's what I did. I got tired of America and the bullshit that was going on there, and I said, let me leave. Let me go do something else, right? And like, that wasn't the reason why I left, but that's the reason why I stayed gone, right? I could have easily came back. I could have easily done something else. But I said, I like it here, so I'm gonna stay, right? Not everybody can just do that. And yeah, it hurts. Sometimes I miss my family and I'm like, ooh, I wanna see them again, right? I'd be damned if I go back to that place, right? I told my family, they're like, oh, when you can never. You're gonna have to meet me halfway. Meet me in England, meet me in Spain, meet me somewhere else. Meet me in Canada, because I ain't never going back over there. You feel me? Nah, you can't even meet me in Canada. I ain't never going back over there. Fuck that. You're gonna have to meet me in France or something. Meet me in Japan. You feel me? So that's just how I am, right? Even then, like, where I was like, you can meet me in Canada. Like, fuck no, I ain't going to Canada. And I'll let you know that straight up. I ain't going back. Ain't catch me in the Eastern or Western Hemisphere. No, never. So it's just who I am. And I think maybe you can become yourself too, because honestly, the world is screwed and a lot of people don't know what to do. I somehow figured it out, and I'm telling you, brother, I'm not the smartest book, okay? You can go to the library, you go to the nonfiction, you'll see that boy KhunShawn there in the nonfiction section, but he ain't gonna be right next to fucking Einstein, you feel me? Like, Einstein's on the other shelf over there. KhunShawn's over here. We got Einstein at home. You feel me? So I can say be yourself, but instead of just being yourself, try being true to yourself. And that'll be the video for today. Hope you guys learned something. Hope it helped you grow. If you watched it, click the like button down below. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.